All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Networking with Alumni Online. My name is Rebecca Luebbert. I'm the Director of Career and Business Engagement at the University of Minnesota Alumni Association. And this topic is near and dear to me as a former first generation college student and now professional. I've had to think about networking in a variety of different ways and be creative about networking in terms of building my own network. And there's definitely a high value in connecting with others with mutual interests. And so some of the ways that I've done that as an undergraduate student was through student organizations, and now as a professional, I connect with professionals with alumni and others through professional associations. And those have just been good resources for me to find others with similar interests, find listservs with different job postings, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, and so forth. And we'll go into more details about how to connect with alumni in just a few, and I'll let Marissa introduce herself as well.
Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. My name is Marissa Smith, and I'm the Director of Student and Recent Alumni Engagement here at the Alumni Association. And I, too, am a big fan of networking. I got my start networking really through friends of friends and knowing what career paths I wanted to explore and asking friends or contacts that I had in those areas to connect me with people that they thought would be interesting to talk to. And it was through that I met some really unexpected but helpful people and ended up here at the University of Minnesota through people that I would have never expected. And so that's why I'm really excited that you all have joined this webinar today, because we're going to show you some ways to connect with folks that you don't already know, and that might unlock some pretty significant career advancement opportunities for you. But before we get started with the topic, we have just a couple of announcements for you. For those of you who have joined our webinars before, you know that we like to give a big shout out to our Alumni Association members. They power everything that we do. So if you're joining today's webinar as a member, thank you so much for your support. And if you're interested in learning more about membership, you can do so on our website at umnalumni.org. We also are presenting this webinar as part of UMAA's Career Month. This February, we've had a ton of workshops and webinars, Facebook Lives and networking events all across the globe to support alumni and student career development. We've actually had more than 600 people join us for webinars alone, day of live, which is just fantastic. We know that career development is super important to our students and alumni, and so we're really proud to be able to bring this important initiative to you. And Career Month is presented by Freedom Financial Network, whose suite of financial solutions has helped hundreds of thousands of consumers take control of their finances, reduce their debt, and get on path to financial freedom since 2002. So I wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor there.
And you might be interested in other upcoming webinars and workshops that we are hosting. Here you can see a number of those on your screen. If you'd like to learn more, go to umnalumni.org. And another housekeeping tidbit, this is information about how to use Zoom. And so if you'd like to listen by phone, you can dial the number on your screen, and there's also a web ID presented here as well. You're welcome to ask questions throughout the webinar, and we will kind of look at those as we're going throughout and be able to answer them when we can. And if anything, we'll have some time at the end for questions as well.
Yes, so please do submit your comments and questions. We want this to be useful to you as much as possible, and we're here to share really tangible strategies that you can take away. So let's get started with today's topic. But before we dive in, we want to do a poll. And we want to know, what is your current comfort level with networking? So when you hear the word networking, whatever that means to you, what kind of feelings does that give to you? Do you love it? Put you in a social situation with new people anytime? Are you sort of in the middle? You see its value, but you maybe prefer structure or guidance or a lot of preparation in advance? Or finally, you avoid it at all costs? Give you just a few more minutes to respond, or a few more seconds rather, to respond to this question. Love it, meh, avoid it at all costs. All right, it looks like most people have responded. So I'm going to share the results. You should now see them on your screen if you're tuning in via the computer. And you can see that a lot of us fall into that middle category, which I think makes a lot of sense. You see the value in it. That's why you've joined us today. But you maybe want a few more strategies to use to feel more confident. We do have a few people joining us who are super into it. Wonderful, that's great for you. And then I want to give a huge shout out to those of you who joined today's webinar, even though you want to avoid networking at all costs because you know the value in it and you want to get better at it. And so shout out to you for joining us and hoping to get better at it. So we're not going to spend a ton of time talking about what networking is or the value because we really want to get into the specific strategies of how you can connect online with alumni. But just to get us all on the same page, we wanted to share our definition of networking, which may or may not be different from some preconceived ideas about what you think networking is. But we really see networking as the act of building a community around shared professional or academic interests. I love that word community here because I think it really means something deeper than just showing up to an event and exchanging some business cards over small talk about the weather, right? This is really about people that you can show up for, that can show up for you and help you advance in your career. And as you may know or have seen play out in your life, it is still widely seen as the #1 way to get a job. So even though more and more of the job application process and the hiring process moves online, it is still super important to have those personal connections and have people know who you are and have you know who they are. There are a lot of different ways to network. We wanted to highlight just a few. There are networking events happening all the time. The Alumni Association just hosted one in the Twin Cities last night here at McNamara Alumni Center, and that's where you show up to an in-person gathering, have an opportunity to interact with the people who are there, and hopefully gain some information you can use. There are referrals. I talked a little bit about my experience in that area, and that's really asking your existing contacts for advice on new people to meet. And then online, using all the online search tools available to us to find new contacts. And we're going to share 2 very specific platforms, LinkedIn and the Maroon and Gold Network, that you can use to connect with new contacts online.
And so some might be thinking like they may want to build their network and continue building connections with others. And so these are some other ways that you can build your network. I mentioned earlier student organizations. So if you're students, you would have access to gopherlink.umn.edu, and you can search through a number of student organizations based on interests, whether those are cultural or professional based or career based. That's one great resource for you. If you're a professional in your profession, you can find different professional associations affiliated with your field. I gave one example here. Perhaps my interest is in public health. There's an American Public Health Association. And so there might be other professional associations that are affiliated with your industry of interest that you may want to check out. And often those professional associations will have conferences where they bring professionals together for a day of learning. There might be listservs where you can find job postings or information. There might be Facebook groups or LinkedIn pages and things of that nature that would be a good way to tap into others. Then there are alumni networks, and the University of Minnesota Alumni Association has over 80 alumni networks, and those are by location, campus, college, corporate, or identity-based affinity. And those networks often get together to host a number of networking events and are good ways to kind of connect with others who have similar interests. And tonight there is a multicultural alumni networking event.
It's right here in the Twin Cities. So if you're tuning in from the Twin Cities and you want to connect with other alumni in the Multicultural Alumni Network, Ladonia Cerveceria over in Minneapolis tonight at 6 p.m. And they expect a great turnout. So just kind of a fun real-time way to apply some of the things that we're talking about.
Yeah. And just to point out, like, who are U of M alumni? We have a vast network. There are over 493,000 plus alumni living from coast to coast and globally. And this is a very powerful, massive community. And I was talking to Marissa earlier, like, I think once you become a part of this community, I think there's some intrinsic desire to give back to one another and to help one another. And so this is a community that you're tapped in for a lifetime. And so as an alum, if you reach out to me and you're like, hey, can we connect? I'd be willing to say yes. And I think that would be true of many other alum. So this is a great community that will be a part of your life. And so definitely connect with others in this way. All right, so connecting with alumni on LinkedIn, there are a number of different features, and I'm going to focus on the Find Alumni feature. Currently, the University of Minnesota has over 276,000 active alumni on LinkedIn. And then there's this Find Alumni feature, which I'll show you in demo. And then there are other ways to connect. And so you can follow company pages, you can find groups, you can follow collegiate pages as well that are affiliated with the university, and follow influencers. So I will show you the Find Alumni feature. And so this is my LinkedIn page. And well,
Actually, we're on.
Yeah, LinkedIn page. And let me type in university.
We were just doing a little test before, so we're actually within a group right now. So I think you have to go back to LinkedIn's homepage to do that search. We were getting all ready for you before the webinar.
Yes, so here, if you type in your University of Minnesota, you can see there are a number of different options, and I'm going to select the first one, which says school. And this will populate all of the persons who have in their profile University of Minnesota as one of the schools that they have attended. And so you can see here, as I scroll down, that there is an alumni tab on the left side of your screen. So let's click that. Great. And as you can see here, we have the 279,000 plus alumni who are currently active on LinkedIn. You can navigate them by searching by the year that they started in school, if they have that in their profile, or the year they graduated. You can see here, you can plug in keywords as well. But as I scroll down, you can see just more information in terms of where they live and where they work. Now, this list of where they work is not comprehensive. I'm not sure the exact algorithm of how this is populated by LinkedIn, but you can type in other companies as well. So if I type in Hennepin County, County, you will find Hennepin County. There's 820 Hennepin County employees who are U of M alumni. All right. So say I want to narrow that search down. I want to connect with Hennepin County, and I would like to connect with people who have an interest in biology. Let's see what populates. And you scroll down, and you can see here, these are all the alumni who graduate from the university who have biology somewhere in their profile as a keyword. LinkedIn acts as a crawler, so whatever you plug in, it will populate those results. And so these are all alumni who are kind of pinged with both University of Minnesota, Hennepin County, and biology. And so most alumni and most people will have their profile public, so you can look at their profiles and read more about their background. And so say you're looking at this person here, Patty, and you read her profile and you're like, yep, this is somebody who I would like to connect with. You can also see, other groups that maybe are interests of Patty's that might be aligned with yours as well. And those might be groups that you might want to follow. So if you go back up and you decide, yep, Patty is somebody who I would like to connect with, you can go and message Patty. Or better yet, if you go back a step, you just click. Well, she has her connect feature off, so we can find.
You're already connected to her.
I'm already connected. Just kidding. So let's find another person who I'm not connected. So if I click on connect here, I can add a note. And in this area, you can introduce who you are and why you'd like to connect. Oftentimes, it's a good idea to say a little bit more about your background, acknowledge that you're maybe a U of M alumni and you have a similar interest in X, Y, and Z. And if you'd like to connect with them in person, you can, or by phone, you can say, I would love to meet for like 20 minutes for coffee, or have a quick phone call to learn more about your background or how you got into your industry. And that could be a good way to kind of begin building connections with others who have similar interests or backgrounds that you'd like to learn about.
And for those of you listening that might be newer to LinkedIn, don't underestimate the power of adding a note. There's a lot of evidence that goes to show that some people will ignore requests to connect from people who don't include a note, that don't share what the connection is or why they're looking to reach out. So this is a really good opportunity to let people know why you want to connect with them before hitting that submit button. Yep.
And as I mentioned before, you can find groups on here by keywords. So if you just type in, like, say you're interested in pharmaceutical, you can find companies this way, you can find groups in this way, you can find pages. Lots of companies will have pages, so you can follow a number of companies that you might be interested in learning more about, and they will often post information, and that will populate in your feed or whatnot. And then I also wanted to point out that we have a University of Minnesota Alumni Association group that you may be interested in. And we can, oops, go here and click there. Those are all the groups that I'm a part of. And you can start a conversation with the group to get that going. You can see others who are part of this group as well. So it's a good way to kind of tap into the network of people who are interested in connecting with others.
There are 33,000 people in this group. And that's a huge community of people that have said, yes, I'm willing and interested in connecting with other University of Minnesota alumni. And so this is another great place to peruse for contacts. If you're in the middle of exploring new career transition, or you're just starting out in your career and you're not quite sure what you want to do. This is a great way to find a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds who have at least one thing in common with you, and that's their connection to the University of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At this point, we've shown you some features on LinkedIn that allow you to connect with alumni. I'm about to transition over to the Maroon and Gold Network, which is another tool that you can use, but wanted to pause here to invite you to submit any questions that you might have about LinkedIn while we're still on this page. Are there any questions about the LinkedIn alumni tool or this Alumni Association group? We want you to know that we'll share our contact information. If you do have any questions after today's webinar, you're welcome to reach out to either of us and we can walk you through this for your own purposes as well. But do feel free to submit those questions if you do have any. But at this point, we're going to transition over to the Maroon and Gold Network. And no offense to LinkedIn, but I am a huge, huge fan of the Maroon and Gold Network. And I like to think of it as LinkedIn on steroids just for the University of Minnesota community. This is a free online platform for career-related advice, networking, and mentorship exclusively for the University of Minnesota community. When we asked our alumni and students what they want from their university, the number one thing they said to us was, I want opportunities for career development, and I want to connect with other students and alumni. And so this was an extremely important initiative for us and something we launched back in March of 2018. So we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary, and how you can use the Maroon and Gold Network. If you're tuning in as a student, you can create a profile and connect with alumni to get advice that will help you in your career. And if you're joining today's webinar as an alum, you can do two things. You can both join and mentor students and give advice, and you can also network with fellow alumni. And so that's a really cool way to be able to both give back and get advice that helps your own career. So with about 2 years under our belt, we are closing in on 6,000 users on the Maroon and Gold Network, and about 3,400 of them are alumni, 2,400 students. We are in 46 states plus the District of Columbia and 35 countries and growing all the time. And this is a really cool heat map and kind of way to see where the users on the Maroon and Gold Network are. And it pretty much mirrors what you would expect in terms of where our alumni are. So we know most of our alumni stay right here in Minnesota, but we do have a lot of alumni that go to Chicago, that go to Seattle, California, New York, DC, all over really. So if you are not location bound in your career search, or you are and you want to see who's already there, this is a really great tool that you can use. Someone submitted a question, or I think it's actually a piece of advice that I want to jump in here and share with you. The attendee says they want to encourage students to reach up, not sideways. Don't be intimidated by titles, directors, VPs, etc. I know some students who like to reach out to other students or peers at their level, but that might limit how soon they can assist you in their career or offer valuable advice. Thank you to whoever submitted that advice. I would agree that you don't want to be intimidated by titles. And when we jump into the demo of the Maroon and Gold Network, I'll show you the search that pops up if you type in CEO, because we definitely have a few of those on there, and they've all said that they're willing and to help alumni and students at any stage in their career. So as you might expect, we have a lot of different majors and career paths represented on the Maroon and Gold Network. They span every college here at the university and nearly every industry. And we have users can submit what help topic they want to assist with. And so you can see the breakdown of what people and users are looking for. So most people are reaching out for an informational interview. Some are asking for introductions to others in the field, job search strategies, transitioning to life after school, job shadowing, and job interview strategies. So if you're tuning in and those are things that you are looking for help on, then the Maroon and Gold Network would be a great tool for you. Bruce just asked, how do you get on the Maroon and Gold Network? I'm going to show you that in just a minute. First, I'm making my case for it, but I think I might have done that. So what are students and alumni saying? We're really excited about the connections that are being made on the Maroon and Gold Network. We know that most interactions are rated as meaningful. And this is just an exchange here between a student and an alum and what they told us about their experience on the Maroon and Gold Network. And so the student, Sammy wrote, Gregory was responsive, easy to schedule a time to meet with, and shared valuable insight about nonprofit development and where to get started with grant writing. And then the alum on the other side shared, I enjoyed meeting with a current student to discuss career paths in the nonprofit sector. It was also a great experience for me, as her questions helped me reflect on my own career experience and refocus my goals and passions. So we love that. All right, so let's get started. So for those of you who are not already on the Maroon and Gold Network, here is the address, umnalumni.org/Maroon and Gold. And if you are already on the Maroon and Gold Network, then this is the same address that you would use to return to it. And so when you go to that address, you're going to be taken to a page that looks like this. And you'll click Get Started. And there are 3 options for joining the Maroon and Gold Network. You can sign in with LinkedIn, Facebook, or any email address. When I created my my Maroon and Gold Network account, I used the LinkedIn option. And what's nice about that is it will bring over a significant amount of information that you've already imported from you've already entered into your LinkedIn account. So you don't need to re-enter things like job roles and titles and associations. But for the purposes of our demo, I'm going to use email. So you'll just type in your first name, your last name, an email address that you want to use, and a password, and hit create account. And then it will walk you through a sign up flow that takes probably about 10 minutes, maybe less if you don't want to answer all the questions right now, maybe more if you do want to take the time to answer them, but you can always go back and answer them later. And because we're doing a demo, the Maroon and Gold Network wants to take its sweet time here, but it will load here in just a minute. So the first thing that you'll be prompted to do is select your user type. So you can select student, alumni, friend of the university, faculty, staff. We review requests to join as a friend of the university on a case-by-case basis, and those are limited because we really want to keep this exclusive to the University of Minnesota community because that's our intent. So I'm going to select alumni because I know most of the people joining on today's webinar are alumni. And then I'll be prompted to enter things like my degree information and my current role, and a headline and a photo. What I'm skipping over right here is another way you can add information from LinkedIn. So here's the request to add my degree information. It's going to auto-populate with the University of Minnesota. I can add majors. I'll just, for the sake of demo, add marketing. Degree type and graduation year is optional here. And you can hit continue. Someone asked, what do I do if I don't know if I'm already on the Maroon and Gold Network? Great question. This happens all the time. You can go to the Maroon and Gold Network and there are some options to retrieve your username and password. So you can start there and it's similar to any other website in that sense. Or you're welcome to reach out to us here at the Alumni Association and we'll double check for you and help you get logged in. The next step is, again, entering more information. And from here, it just continues to help you build out your profile. So I'm gonna pause here and jump into the Maroon and Gold Network so I can show you some things about searching the network. But the sign up flow, again, it takes about 10 minutes. Once you submit it, you'll be approved in about 24 hours. And then you can get started networking with folks. So once you're on the platform, it looks like this if you're an alum. If you're a student, it looks a little different. There's some different tools that help you reach out to folks immediately. So as an alum, remember you have that dual role. You can both be a mentor and a mentee. And so they are going to suggest some alumni that you can connect with based on information that you put in about yourself. But so if you are joining to connect with other alumni, please do take advantage of these recommendations. But if you're joining primarily to be a mentor, then don't worry about it. But up along the top here, you'll see a button called Network. And this is where all of the users on the Maroon and Gold Network are. And like I said, there's 3,400 alumni, so a lot of profiles to filter through. And so the Maroon and Gold Network includes a lot of different ways that you can narrow that down. And so I want to show you a few of the ways that you can search through the network. And I want to invite you as participants, if there are any industries or companies that you might be interested in using the Maroon and Gold Network to connect with, feel free to drop that in the Q&A and I'll do a sample search for you right now. But a few that I want to show you. So the first thing is you have a simple search bar where you can type in any keyword. So I had said that I have a marketing background. So I want to find other people on the Maroon and Gold Network that have a marketing background because I'm looking to maybe advance in my field. So once I do that search, I will see different profiles pop up and I can start to look through them. You can see there are 474, and that's still kind of a lot to filter through. I mean, it's exciting to me because there's a lot of different people I could connect with, but it's a little overwhelming. And so you can also continue to narrow that down by adding things like location, like maybe I'm planning to move to Chicago. So I can add location and see now how many do I get. I'm down to 12. That feels a lot more manageable. And I can start to really look through and reach out to some folks. Say I was gung-ho on moving to Chicago to work in marketing. I can also set a search alert that once I've done a search on the Maroon and Gold Network, I can be alerted every time somebody joins the Maroon and Gold Network with that background. So I don't have to keep going back and checking. It will send me an email. So that's a really cool feature as well. Let's do another one. Say I was looking to make a career transition. I've been in retail and now I want to be in training and development. So I type in training and development and I get 58 responses, which that's pretty good. I can work with that. But I know that I want to start by doing an informational interview and I want to see which of these alumni have said, I'm willing to help with an informational interview. So if I go under more filters, I can find one called help topic. And here I see all the different things that alumni have said they're willing to help with. And I can select informational interviews. And now 58 becomes 27. So again, we're starting to narrow in and find alumni who are meeting the criteria that we care about. Industries is another way that you can search. So I say I wanted to get into public health. I could click on public health and see who's on the Maroon and Gold Network in that field, and I have 238. You'll notice that the Maroon and Gold Network presents a lot like LinkedIn in the sense that different users are represented as cards with a little bit of information about them. You can click into any user to get more information about them on their profile. And so similar to LinkedIn, I click in and now I've got a lot more information about what that person does, where they've been, where they're going, what they're willing to help with, which is really, again, it's pretty exciting to me. You can also, by default, the Maroon and Gold Network shows you the responses by these cards, but you can click over to that map view that I showed you earlier and see a heat map of where people are located. So again, we're still on our public health filter, but now I can see, oh, there's some people out on the East Coast doing that work and I want to connect with them. And here they are. Ta-da. So someone asked for us to do a sample search around liberal arts. So you can see up here along the top, there's a school and college tab where we have all the University of Minnesota Twin Cities schools, as well as the system campuses, because the system or this platform is open to folks on the system campuses. So if I apply the liberal arts filter, I come up with 1,200 alumni, which is amazing. And they're in a wide variety of industries and locations. And so, you might want to filter that down even more. We talked about the general search. We talked about location, school, college, industries. Under more filters, there are also majors, company and organization. So say I was really set on working at Target and I wanted to connect with somebody that works there currently. I can type in Target and I have 54 people that are working currently at Target Corporation. And you can do that with any number of companies and organizations there. Once you've done a little bit of searching and maybe you're not quite ready to reach out to folks yet, another option that you have is to bookmark a user. And this just allows you to maybe return to their profile later when you have time. And then also along the search bar, you can see people you've bookmarked. And that's a nice way to return to that when you're ready. You can clear that out. You can also see people that you've contacted in the past. Once you're ready to reach out to someone, again, the Maroon and Gold Network makes this all super easy. So you can click into somebody's profile and there's going to be a big button here at the top that says Let's Connect. And it's going to take you to a new page where you can send a message. And you can start writing just off the bat, Dear Sarah, or you can select from one of the templates that the Maroon and Gold Network provides, which will insert information that it knows about me, that it knows about Sarah. And it's just a nice way to make this process feel a little less intimidating, right? I mean, you can still go in and change anything that you want to make it sound more like you. But the Maroon and Gold Network wants to make this as easy as possible for you to reach out. We had a question come in. Can others see if you have bookmarked them? Great question, and the answer there is no. So one of the big differences between LinkedIn and the Maroon and Gold Network is on LinkedIn, you're sending requests to other users to connect, and you're building your network of connections, right? You have a number associated with the number of people that you've connected with, and that's a mutual process. Here, as soon as you join the Maroon and Gold Network, you are automatically connected to everyone on the Maroon and Gold Network. The only thing that you need to do is start contacting them for informational interviews and advice. So no, others cannot see when you've bookmarked them, but they will see when you've contacted them. They'll be notified via email, and then your People Grow, or I'm sorry, your Maroon and Gold Network account also has an inbox associated with it. So every message that you send on the Maroon and Gold Network is going to go directly to the email you have associated with your account, and it's going to go directly into this inbox where you can manage it a little bit closer there. So I'm going to go back to the homepage here and invite any other questions that folks might have about the Maroon and Gold Network while I walk through just a couple of other things that might be of interest to those tuning in. So in addition to searching the network and contacting individual alumni, the Maroon and Gold Network has a discussion page. And this is where you can type in a question for the entire community. And so users have done this in the past to talk about their potential career transitions and how others might suggest going about it. And alumni can jump in and respond here with their advice. So about 2 weeks ago, somebody posted, I've been thinking about a shift to other opportunities. What can I do? And Megan here responded with her advice. So it's a nice way to kind of crowdsource ideas there. And then we also have a resources page. So if you fall into that category from our poll where you're like, meh, but I need a lot of structure and guidance, here's a really great resource for you. We have a bunch of articles and tips for how to make the most of the Maroon and Gold Network. So another question came in here, and what's that?
What filter?
Oh, and the question is, what vendor are you using for the Maroon and Gold Network? So we are using a platform called People Grove. People Grove is one of many mentorship platforms that exist. And the reason that we chose it was that they work with many of our peer institutions. They have great customer service. They're constantly innovating and responding to user needs. So actually, two things are new on the Maroon and Gold Network just as of this morning. The messaging feature that I just showed you is brand new and easier to use. And so the LinkedIn ability to import your information from LinkedIn existed a while ago, then it went away, and now it's back as of this morning. So I really enjoy working with them because it is meeting our alumni and student needs, and they've got great customer service. So another comment came in from someone listening. This has been so helpful. Yay, we love to hear that. I've been on LinkedIn for a while, but didn't know about the feature for searching for alumni by year of graduation. They found someone that graduated back in the year that they did, that they lost contact with, excited to check out the Maroon and Gold Network, and I'm telling my son, who's a student now at the U, about it. That is wonderful. We're really excited about the how the word is getting out about the Maroon and Gold Network, but with 50,000 students, we have work to do, right? So we appreciate any and all support in that effort. What other questions are there about the Maroon and Gold Network or LinkedIn or generally networking with alumni? Because at this point, we are at the end of our content for you.
And if you're looking for more information about building your profile on LinkedIn, there is a really good resource from LinkedIn. It's called University LinkedIn. That's University LinkedIn. And this is the page for that. So it's university.linkedin.com. And if you scroll down this page I have here, there are a number of different resources to give you more information about how to build a professional profile and how to go about using LinkedIn in different ways that we may not have covered here today.
So another question came in around LinkedIn. Do you have any recommendations for what to write in the note when you find someone on LinkedIn to connect with at a company you're interested in joining?
Yeah, I would definitely tell them a little bit more about yourself and why you're interested in connecting with them. So if there's something you saw in their profile, say they work on a project that is of interest to you, or say that you're interested in connecting with them because you'd like to know more about their career path, say that in your introduction and ask if they would like to meet for a cup of coffee to talk more about, so that you can ask more about their career path and how they got to where they're at, and learn more about their specific field. And oftentimes people are more than willing to say yes, especially if it's just a quick phone call for 20 minutes or just a quick coffee chat for 20 minutes. If you're willing to go to them, all those pieces I think to include in that short message.
The other thing I would add, networking is inherently vulnerable, right? And when you, especially on LinkedIn, where you don't know the exact reason that somebody has joined that platform, and you reach out and you may or may not hear anything back, try not to take it personally.
Yeah.
And simply move on. I think networking is best done when you kind of cast a wide net. And another plug for the Maroon and Gold Network is just that you know why people have joined, because they tell you right on their profile, so you can feel really comfortable there.
Yeah, and I think on LinkedIn, it depends on who you're connecting with and for what purpose. If you're wanting to know more about career path and career exploration, I think that's a good connection with maybe a fellow alum or somebody who's doing something similar. If you're looking to get tapped in and maybe find a job at that company, I think you can also you can connect with recruiters on LinkedIn. So you'd find that company page, then you'll see all employees, and then type in recruiter, and recruiters will populate, and you can connect with recruiters directly.
Another piece of advice around LinkedIn invites just came in from an attendee. As someone who has sent hundreds of LinkedIn invites, remember you have a character limit.
There is.
And to point out that you're not a salesperson trying to connect with them to sell a product. Once you do that, most people will respond. Yeah. So that's a good tip. Somebody had asked if we have metrics around how many alumni on the Maroon and Gold, how many alumni are using the Maroon and Gold Network that are not members. I'm going to interpret that as Alumni Association members, and I want to make it very clear that the Maroon and Gold Network is open to all students and alumni, not just Alumni Association members. Our members help us fund the platform. So if you're on the platform and you support keeping it around, that could be a good motivation to become a member, but you don't have to be a member to join it. There is someone that asked about moving up in leadership and which platform might be better to find mentors to help with this. Thank you. I think the two platforms complement each other in your mission. You might go to both and send requests on both. Your question also reminds me that we were going to do a search on the Maroon and Gold Network for some people in upper leadership roles.
And you can do the same on LinkedIn too.
You can, yeah. So let's just for fun go over to LinkedIn or to the Maroon and Gold Network and just type in CEO and see what comes up. We've got 47 CEOs that popped up. Let's type in president.
Or even vice president.
Yep.
Yep.
162. Some of these people might have listed that they were presidents of their student organizations, just FYI, but they have presidents somewhere in their profile. So when I think about your question, I think it's about connecting with people in those roles, asking them about their career path, how they got there. People like to talk about themselves. They like to hear their story, and they want to be asked, and they'll be honest with you about the time commitment that they can make with that ask. Just scanning to see if we have any other questions that have come in. We will be sharing the video or the recording rather of this webinar with you afterwards. So if you want to catch anything again, you'll be able to do so. We'll also share some of the links that we covered today so that you don't need to go searching for those. And again, we're here, at the Alumni Association to help and support you. So please feel free to keep the conversation with us going. And if you have any questions or feedback on any of these tools or the webinar today, please feel free to share that with us. Unless there's anything else, I think we'll sign off here and wish you all a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Have a good day.